Okay, so let me begin one more time. If you have any see, if you don't see the slide, I'll tell the slide number. If you don't if you don't see the page number, then tell me. Okay. Okay. So yeah, as I was telling, we'll discuss about column which is subjected to eccentric loading. So here you see a column, uh, rectangular column of length L, and you can see the transverse cross section, which is a rectangle, and the centroid of that transverse cross section is C, and at that cross section, at that centroid, we have three axes: x prime, y prime, and z prime. So y prime and g prime are parallel to the that rectangle at the of the transverse cross section, and the load P is acting on the centroid. So when this kind of load is acting, what will happen? The column will be subjected to pure compression, and the stress there will be sigma is equal to P by A. And now what we do, we shift the load P by a small amount E, and the distance E is such that it is offset from the Z axis. So the point P is now lying on the Y prime axis, and so you are able to see the figure, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what will happen is that under the action of that compressive load, uh, compressive load is not acting at the centroid, so there will be both a bending moment and also there will be one pure compression. Okay, pure compression plus bending moment. So the bending moment will be PE, and you can look at the side view. So the side view is shown here when you it is shown here. So we have our load P and that uh, eccentric distance E. So this column is subjected to this compressive load P. Okay, so you can see at the top view here. So the top view, what you will see is you're looking from the top. So you'll find the z axis and the y prime axis. So y prime axis I'm not showing, and the point of application is this star, and there the load P is acting. So it is acting into the column, and C is the centroid. So if you see what is happening here, the column will be bending with respect. How does the column? How will the column bend? It will bend in such a way that it will deflect towards the in the y direction. Okay, so there will be some deflection in the y direction, and this column will be bending with respect to the z axis. Okay, so we have our so since the column is bending with respect to the z axis, we'll have our moment of inertia I. So I will be equal to izc. Okay, so, and as I was saying previously, if the P is acting on the z prime axis, then it will bend with respect to the y prime axis, and I will be equal to Iyy. Anyway, we might discuss it not today, maybe tomorrow. Okay, so we can have a simplified model of this column. So we're representing it by a line diagram. So we have that column of length L with flexural rigidity EI, and since the bending is with respect to the z axis, we'll have EI replaced by EIZZ. And we have this small horizontal line. That length of this line is E, and we have that applied load P acting in the downward direction. So this is a simplified view of that entire system. Okay, so there are some terms called short column and long column. Short column, this expression square root of P by A L is very less compared to 1, and slender column square root of P by A L is approximately is comparable to 1. So in short column, what happens is due to this applied load, there will be some bending and there will be some compression. So when there is some bending, we are neglecting the additional bending moment coming from the load P due to that bending. Okay, so that is we are neglecting that. In slender column, the deflections will be large, so we cannot neglect the additional bending moment which come due to the action of load P. Okay, so that we'll analyze it in detail in the coming slide. So you are able to see uh, this page, the eccentric compression of cylinder column.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so yeah, so we have our line diagram of the undeformed column, and we have our deformed shape here. So at the free end, there is a displacement of delta. in the y direction. Okay, so this is our y-axis and this is our x-axis. There is a deflection of delta in the y direction, and the applied load is P here, and the distance between this x-axis and this applied load is delta plus E. That is the distance. We are approximating it because this E is at an angle, and we are assuming that probably that angle is very small. So we'll have only delta plus E as a, it's we're treating it approximately as delta plus E. Okay. So at any intermediate point, there will be some deflection. That deflection is y of x. So what we can do is we can find out what is the bending moment at this point. So we cut a section, and we'll look at the upper part, the figure, upper part of the cut section, and draw the free body diagram there. So what I was saying was, you have to look at this problem from the this axis, that y prime, y and x axis. So you have to bend your turn your head to the right and see that this section. So you'll find y axis is like this, x axis is like this. So for this case, this will be the right surface, and the v will be acting to the left, and m of x will be acting in the anti-clockwise direction. So we can find the bending moment m of x by taking the moment equilibrium about this point. So what will happen is this p will produce some bending moment. So what is the bending moment produced by p? It is a distance. We have to first find the momentum. So what is the momentum here? So total length, total offset of the load p is delta plus e, and offset of the distance of this point x will be y of x. So the difference is delta plus e minus y of x. So what is happening here, if you see carefully, this is the momentum. So we can find the moment produced, we can do the moment balance about this point. So we'll get m of x is equal to p into delta plus e minus y of x. Okay, so let me take a break. Okay, so if you do the force moment balance, you'll get m of x is p into delta plus c minus y of x. So if you look carefully, this is a second order analysis. Why is it a second order analysis? If you consider the undeformed configuration, okay, if you consider only the undeformed configuration, then the bending moment is p of v. And if you consider the deformed configuration, the bending moment is p plus p delta minus y of x. So there is some extra term coming, p into delta minus y of x. So the bending moment is actually dependent not only on the initial bending moment Pe, due to that eccentricity E, but there is some additional bending moment coming due to this deflection. So there is a deflection of delta minus y of x. Okay, delta is the top, that is a deflection of the top, and y of x is the deflection of that point. So there is some this extra bending moment p into delta minus y of x. So this is a second order analysis. In the first order analysis, we'll neglect this delta minus y of x. We'll just equate m of x is equal to p. So in that scenario, that will be called a first order analysis. But here we are doing a second order analysis. We are accounting for the deflection of the column. Okay, so we have to solve this equation. We'll assume m of x is ei d square y by dx square. Again, we are making one assumption that the deflections are very small. We are neglecting square root of 1 plus dy by dx whole square all both 3 by 2 the denominator, and we are getting ei d square by dx square is this RHS. So we send p by ei to the right hand side, and we get p by ei delta plus c minus p by ei y of x. Okay. Now we'll introduce one term called small p. and we have P by EI is equal to P square. So we are introducing this small p such that P is equal to square root of P by A. So P will be P square will be P by A. So in this equation, we'll substitute instead of capital P by A, we'll substitute P square. Okay, so it will be small p square delta plus E minus small p square y of x. So we send small p square y of x to the left hand side. So we get d square y by dx square plus p square y is p square delta plus E. So this is the differential equation we are solving. We are going to solve. So this order it is a second order equation. The highest power is 2. So this equation will have two. So will have a general solution, which will be combination of a homogeneous solution and a particular solution. So the homogeneous solution is yh of x, and we want to find what is that. So we'll equate the write the homogeneous equation here. So d square yh by dx square plus p square yh is 0. And the solution for this, I think you might have learned in your first year mathematics. So you can substitute e power lambda x, and lambda square will be p minus p square, lambda will be plus or minus p, or that will become cos px plus sin px. Or you can substitute this value y1 is equal to c1 cos kx plus c2 sin kx, and we can differentiate it twice. We'll get minus k square yh, and we are substituting minus k square yh plus p square yh is 0. So we will get minus k square plus p square yh is 0. K is equal to plus or minus p, and homogeneous solution is c1 cos px plus c2 sin px. And we can find a particular solution. So d square yp by dx square plus p square yp is p square delta plus c. For particular solution, we will assume this polynomial c3 plus c4x plus c5x square, and we will compare the coefficients of x and x square, x0, x1, x power 1 and x square here. So we take the second derivative, we get yp double derivative is 2c5, and we substitute it here 2c5 plus p square into c3 plus c4x plus c5x square, which is equal to p square delta plus c. So we are comparing the coefficient of x power 0, x power 1 and x square. So x power 2 or x square, coefficient on the left hand side is c5, on the right hand side there is no coefficient, so c5 is 0. And coefficient of x on the left hand side is c4x, so c4, p square c4, and on the right hand side there is no coefficient, so c4 is 0. And coefficient of x power 0, which is 2c5 plus p square c3, and on the right hand side we have only p square delta plus c. So c5 is 0, so c3 will be delta plus c. So yp particular is delta plus c. So the general solution is y homogeneous plus y particular. So it will be c1 cos px plus c2 sin px plus delta plus c. Okay, so I'm moving to the page 3. You are able to see the next page, right? Boundary conditions.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, fine. So boundary conditions, what are the boundary conditions? For the fixed end, there is no displacement. That means in the y direction, there is no displacement. So y of 0 is 0. And there is no rotation. So dy by dx at that fixed end is 0. So y of 0 is 0. What does it mean? So you go to the homogeneous, general solution. You put y is x is equal to 0. You get c1 plus delta plus c is 0. So c1 will be minus delta plus c. Okay, so that is the first boundary condition. Second boundary condition, take the differentiation. You differentiate theta of 0 is 0. So you differentiate y with respect to x. So we get minus c1 sin px plus c2p cos px, and this term will go to 0. So minus c1p sin px is 0, and we get only c2p cos px, c2p, and that term is 0. So c2 should be 0. Okay, so with that, two conditions are known with the two boundary conditions. We can substitute it here. So y of x is equal to delta plus c into 1 minus cos px. So this is minus delta plus c cos px is minus c is equal c1 cos px plus delta plus c. So c1 is minus delta plus c. So we will get this term. And what is delta? Delta is the deflection at the extreme end, free end. So that is deflection at x is equal to L. So deflection y at x is equal to L. So we can substitute delta plus c 1 minus cos PL is delta here. And we'll write delta plus c. So we can expand this. So delta into delta minus delta cos PL plus c into 1 minus cos PL is delta. So we get the expression for delta as e into 1 minus cos PL by cos PL. We're cancelling out this delta, and we get this term. So what is the meaning of this? The deflection at the free end, delta, is a function of the eccentricity E, and it is also a function of the applied load. Applied load is coming through P. So P, small p, is equal to square root of P by EL. Okay, so square root of P by EI is small p. So the deflection at the free end, delta, is dependent on the eccentricity and also on the applied load. Okay, and we are assuming some small things. We are assuming we'll apply this analysis for short columns. So for short columns, as we discussed previously, the square root of P by EL is very less, small than 1, very negligible compared to 1. So small pl is negligible compared to 1. So cos PL is 1 minus, it will become 1 minus P square L square by 2. So 1 minus cos PL will be P square L square by 2. So this term 1 minus cos PL is P square L square by 2. And here cos PL is this value, and we write that 1 minus P square L square by 2. And we make assumption that for short columns, this value is very less compared to 1. So the square will be negligible compared to 1. So we can neglect this term, and we get E P square L square by 2. That will be the deflection. So we can write it as P square is P by A, L square by 2. So if you simplify it, we'll get delta is equal to P L square by 2A. So if you see this expression, it is familiar if you have referred to the old moment area theorem methods. Okay. So we have a cantilever beam. It is subjected to a bending moment M, and we are interested in finding what is the this is a sagging moment. I've shown a hogging moment. I've shown a hogging. I've shown one sagging moment, and the deflection is hogging. So sorry. This actually applied in the clockwise direction. Okay, so please correct this one. Bending moment is applied in the clockwise direction here, and here that will be in the anti-clockwise on the left hand. Okay, so because of the clockwise bending moment, this beam will deflect in this way, and we want to find what is the deflection here. So to find that, we'll draw the bending moment diagram. So that will be a constant bending moment diagram, and we draw the deflected curve. At A we draw a tangent, and at B we draw a vertical line. So this distance, the deflection delta B, is equal to distance of the vertical distance of B with respect to tangent drawn at A. So it will be TV by A. So we want to calculate what is this TV by A. So we apply the second moment area theorem. Total area under the bending moment diagram is M by EA into L, and XB, that is the distance of the centroid with respect to the vertical line, is L by 2. So we get ML square by 2A. Okay, so if you compare, actually the bending moment applied is P, and here it is M. So both are equivalent. So this analysis will give back the analysis for this elastic analysis if you neglect the deflections. Okay, if you assume that the first order analysis for which is applicable for short columns, so this deflection, this entire system will come back to this to the first order analysis. Okay, so it will be like a first order analysis, but we are not doing a first order analysis when we treat this as a standard column. That means PL is non-negligible compared to 1. So in that case, it will be a different kind of problem. So as long as the column is short, we don't have to worry about the second order analysis. We can do a first order analysis and get the same answers. So this was a first order analysis here. Whatever we have done in moment area method, all that was first order. So let's continue with the standard column. So in standard column, square root of P by EL, EL, which is small PL, is not negligible. So we can, first thing we'll do, we have this expression for delta. Deflection of the free end is E into 1 minus cos PL by cos PL. Okay. So we can plot the deflection delta as a function of small PL. So that plot is shown here. So on the x-axis we have small PL, and on the y-axis we have our delta. we can assume some eccentricity E, and we can just plot the delta value. So we can assume E is equal to 1. That is fine, and we get the curve. The plot is shown by the green color. So if you look carefully, this point is corresponds to PL is equal to pi by 2. So what is happening at pi by 2? What is cos pi by 2? It is tending to, it is 0. Cos PL at PL is equal to pi by 2, that will be cos pi by 2, it will be tending to 0. So what will happen to delta? Because this tending to 0 is at the denominator, the delta value will blow up. Okay, so that is what is happening here. So initially it will be varying like this, and as it reaches p by 2, the delta will keep increasing by a very indefinite amount, and it will be infinity at this pi by 2, PL is pi by 2. So the main thing we can see is that deflection is delta versus small PL, or the deflection is no longer proportional to the applied load. If it is proportional, you will get delta is equal to Kp, but here it is not. We have some E of 1 minus cos PL by small cos PL. So it is not a linear variation, and it increases more rapidly than P. So here PL, what is a PL means square root of P by E times L. So P, that applied load P has a finite value, but delta is having infinite value. Okay, so it increases very rapidly than P. So P is varying, small p is varying from 0 to pi by 2, but delta is varying from 0 to infinity. Okay, so there is a large variation in delta. So when you apply a load on that column, okay, so you are looking at this column. So you are applying a load on the column. As the load keeps increasing, there will be some deflection delta happening here, and as it reaches around pi square EI by 4L square, something like that, then it will reach a very infinite amount. The delta here will be, mathematically, it will be a very large value. Okay, infinite value. So the solution is blowing up at small PL, P is equal to pi by 2. And we'll discuss about it, and we can find out what is the maximum bending moment which is occurring at the support. So that will be P into E plus delta. That is the deflection at the top, which is E plus delta. We have the and the deflected deflection delta. So the total bending moment will be P into E plus delta, which will be the maximum bending moment which is occurring at the support. So we can substitute instead of delta that expression E into 1 minus cos PL by cos PL. So what will happen? You will get E secant PL minus E. So E and the small E minus E will cancel out. You get E secant PL. So this is the maximum bending moment which is coming here. So it is P secant PL. Okay, so what else is there? I think we are run out of time. So